All right, Stephanie, we are here. This is the Rosie Talks. I think it's time to get it started. I think Facebook is blasting us to the rest of the world. So won't you take it away?
Right on. Well, welcome everybody to this edition of Rosie Talks. Think TED Talks, but way better. And just focused on entrepreneurship, small business ownership, launching and growing, scaling, exiting, anything and everything to do with small business ownership for our active duty veteran and military spouse community. That is what we are going to be jumping into today. Before I begin, I just want to say, my team goes, hey, let's do this Ask Stephanie Anything business. And I was kind of shocked by the sheer scope and number of questions that we got in. And my first response was, holy moly. A, we're not going to have time to answer all these questions. B, some of these I can't even answer. I'm going to have to reach out to some experts. And so I think what Chris and I did, who I'm going to let him introduce himself in a minute. But what Chris and I did was we kind of went through them and chose some questions. But if you're listening to us live on Facebook, please post questions below and we'll do our best to get to them. So I'm Stephanie Brown. I am a longtime military spouse. I am a serial entrepreneur. I'm the CEO and founder of the Rosie Network and CEO and co-founder of the U.S. Military Spouse Chamber of Commerce. I live, breathe, eat, sleep, and dream entrepreneurship. So I am here with my good buddy, Chris McPhee, otherwise known to those who love him as Smurf. Smurf, please introduce yourself. Oh, we can't hear you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. I know, right? I was like, make sure you hit that before you start talking. But everybody and Stephanie, thank you for having me today to be sitting next to you to share some of our knowledge and ask you some questions about entrepreneurship. But everybody to the Rosie Network community, the alumni chapters, and those of you who are just making your way across the bridge. And those of you who are curious about the Rosie Network, I'm Chris McPhee. I am the chapter lead here in the Fort Hood region, and I'm retired military, and I'm also a military spouse myself, entrepreneur, owner of Green Beret Media, and also a co-founder of Triple Nickel Apparel. So today we have a treat for you, especially those folks that are just starting out with their business and you just have some questions and you need some insight from a seasoned entrepreneur that's just going to give it to you straight with no chaser and give you value and have something to take away to help you move along your journey. So let me know when you're ready, Stephanie, because
I'm
have
ready. Shoot.
a gang of questions.
Oh, wait. I know that my team will actually start texting me and sending me unhappy faces. If I don't cover some really quick housekeeping, you guys, hey, this is our 5th year. And Chris, you know this is our 5th year hosting of the National Veteran and Military Spouse Entrepreneur Awards. Nominations are open now through the end of the month. If you are a business owner, I don't care how small, if you're new, we have startup categories. We have, I think, 10 or 11 categories. Our members got featured in Veterans Magazine last year and other areas. So it takes a few minutes to nominate. Get on our website. The link will be posted below. Nominate yourself or somebody else. Please help us celebrate the contributions and amazing work that these entrepreneurs are doing. Service to CEO is our free program. Chris is one of our leads. He's also a graduate. So applications are open now and throughout the year. You will not be wasting your time, I promise you. We also, Military Entrepreneur Magazine, we are working on our holiday buying guide right now. It'll be shared and posted not only in our magazine, but also in Military Families Magazine. And man, if you haven't heard about the stuff that we're doing with AAFES, which for you non-Army Air Force folks out there like me, I'm Navy. It's AAFES, or otherwise known as the Exchange, is, they are located everywhere, right? And we have rolled out some amazing things with AAFES for our military business owners. I'll be in Charleston, South Carolina on the 28th, I think, of this month. Sorry, I can never remember these things. So if you were in that area and you want to showcase your business, veteran or military spouse, got a product or service you want to sell, please, please, please visit our website. Email us at contact@the Network. 28th of this month, Charleston Air Force Base AAFES is rolling out the red carpet. So get involved. So housekeeping done. Chris, I'm ready. I'm ready.
You're ready. So we're gonna start you off a little slow. Slow. And
that's my speed, man. You know what they say in Spec Ops, right? Slow is fast.
You know that.
Slow is fast.
We're gonna start you off a little slow. We could smoothen this thing out. But your first question has to do with business coaching and mentorship, and how much time should we spend in those areas? Like, do you have a business coach, and how much time do you invest in being mentored?
Yeah, well, this is a great question. And I know we preach it all the time, right? This is being an entrepreneur. It can be lonely. It can be frustrating. It can be, all those. I mean, if we're here, we're going to talk real here, right? It is not all.
Keep it real.
Exactly. Not all puppies and kittens, people. Or unicorns, as they say. So really building a team is critical. And everybody says, well, I can't afford to hire a team. Well, a team isn't necessarily employees. A team can be friends, trusted friends. It can be advisors. It can be mentors. It can be a coach. It has to be people that you can trust to be real with you. It's not, not one of those when you ask your spouse, honey, does this dress make me look old? It has to be people that are going to tell you the truth. And then you take that and do with it what you will. But, there is a difference between a coach and a mentor. First of all, I mean, sometimes we get them confused. They are similar, but there is a difference. Usually a coach has specific, there is like a contract. Oftentimes a coach can be somebody you pay. Mentors are not, often paid. So a coach has a specific set of goals that the two of you, identify ahead of time. And there's usually a timeline, right? It's not always or necessarily ongoing forever. Whereas a mentor, you can spend many, many, many hours and years working alongside. I absolutely have a mentor. In fact, I wouldn't be here right now, and Rosie wouldn't be doing having scaled like it has without a mentor. Let's just be, perfectly honest. I don't have all the answers. I've made some amazing decisions. I've made some really bad decisions. Raise your hand if you can understand that. And really, a mentor and a coach, and you can look up what the difference is and decide which one applies and fits best for you. But I always surround myself with people that are smarter than me, first of all, right, Chris? I mean, if you just have a bunch of mini-me's around you, or people that, are little yes people, or folks that don't bring a real serious, talent or skill to the table that you may be missing, then you're not doing yourself or your business any favors. So everybody on my team is smarter than me in one way, shape, or another. They're all younger than me, so let's just get that out there. But having a mentor for me has, look, it's like a lifeline. It's like an invested person in what Rosie is doing and what I'm doing and want to accomplish. And I know that when I have a challenge or an opportunity, I can turn to them and go, one of my mentors is named Lynn, and another one. I don't have just one because, it's like potato chips, you can never have just one. So I call them up and I go, hey, I've got this opportunity. What do you think? I always share those with my team too, but oftentimes I'll bounce it off my mentor. And then if I have a challenge, and especially with COVID and the year before that, we had a couple of whoppers. We had a couple of like we had just run headfirst into a brick wall kind of challenges. And if it hadn't been for, my mentors, and some of those are now part of my board of advisors, it could have been tragic. So how much time? It totally depends on you and what you want to get out of it. Right, Chris? Have you ever had a mentor or a coach?
Oh yeah. I thrive off of mentorship. I'm like you. If you are paying for some type of guidance, that's a coach in my book. Because I think mentors should be genuine relationships, somebody who knows you and really could give you a real assessment of where you should be heading next, and they know what you've done. So those develop over years. And I'm glad you said like having one or two. Like, do you have just one? How many should we have, and like where should we decide, hey, I need a coach, or I need to take this to my mentor? So that's the part 2 of this discussion about coach and mentorship.
Yeah, I agree. And there is no rule that says you can only have one. So, like I have a coach that's also an attorney. I mean, a mentor that's also an attorney. So he's normally my guy that, I'll turn to if it's a legal issue, for example, right? So absolutely, it is, all of those folks become tools in your toolbox, and use them. Don't abuse them. I will say that when I first started this, one of the greatest joys of my life was having the time to meet folks like Chris, spend time with folks, and others going through our program, and entrepreneurs all over. And then what happened is, and what will happen to you as you grow your business, you have less and less of that time available. And that was one of the reasons why, when they said, hey, let's do Rosie Talks, and I thought, wow, this is a great way for me to share, hopefully, some valuable information that I don't have the time to do one-on-one anymore. I mean, that's the one thing I really miss. But anyway, so hopefully we've answered that question.
No, I think we crushed that one. We
okay.
crushed it. If you have any additional questions about mentors or coaches, definitely put it in the chat, and we're gonna transition to our next question. And this is actually interesting to me because I don't have a clue about when it comes to fine art in that industry. So this question comes from somebody I believe is either in business to selling fine art or is thinking about selling fine art. And part of that is, how do I market it? Like, if I'm selling fine art, how would I go about? What might be some high level processes we could take to start marketing fine art?
Yeah. And one of the reasons why we selected this question was so I'm going to share a few specific pieces of information that does apply to art and fine art. But overall, this is a question every entrepreneur should be asking themselves, right? Where do I market or sell my product or service? And really, first and foremost, and Chris, feel free to correct me, jump in. But I say, one of the first things you have to do before you start looking where you're going to sell or market your business, and this includes social media. Far too many people go, I've got the greatest widget in the world and I just need to market it. If I could just market it, and they dump a ton of money into marketing and hiring people and paying for ads when they haven't even determined who the heck their customers are. Where do your customers shop, right? Are they Amazon? Are they Walmart? Are they Tiffany's? Are they older, younger? You have to find out who your customer is. And believe me, not everybody is your customer, and that's okay. So know who your customer is. Where do they shop? How much do they spend? Are they a $5,000 ticket item when it comes to fine art or up, or are they a $50 ticket item, right? Are they looking for prints? So first and foremost, you got to know that before you even start down any path of selling. And then, so back to fine art. First of all, having a website for any business is key. And look, even folks like me I consider myself tech challenged. to the extreme. You know, I grew up, we didn't have internet, we didn't have cell phones, we didn't have any of that stuff, right? We worked off encyclopedias. And for those of you who are too young to know what an encyclopedia is, Google it. So, you know.
Was that 19 something? BI before the internet.
Yeah, exactly. In fact, we're running a military kids entrepreneur summer camp right now, and all of those kids are all smarter than me on tech. So anyhow, but having a website. So basically, there are tools out there right now that even tech challenged folks can create a website, and your website doesn't have to be super complicated. So if you're selling a product or a service, 99% of consumers out there, potential clients, look you up on the internet. So if you don't have a website, there's really no reason not to. You don't and shouldn't be just relying on Facebook or Instagram to sell your products and services. Both of those are great venues to do it if that's where your customers are, but you should have a website. And it doesn't have to be complicated. First of all, you got to have great photos of your art, right, Chris? You're the photographer, the camera guy. You got to have great photographs. You know, you ought to be perusing other websites and other marketplaces that are selling your similar type products and services. And again, this goes to all of you guys. If you don't have the money to pay for a photographer or build a website, then consider bartering. We see this happen in the Rosie Network all the time, right? We'll have a IT guy that's got a certain skill set and he doesn't know anything about graphic design or logo branding, and they'll often collaborate with each other and help each other out. So don't forget that can always be, be an option for paying for stuff. So top sites that I found, and I reached out to a couple of, fine artists, and would never consider myself, a pro of what's considered fine art or not. But Xcart is really the top site that I came across, and it was recommended to me. Xcart, and all those links will be posted below. Really for selling fine art, and there is a $500 one-time fee. You can, they have it's highly customizable. There's a free trial, which I love. Jump into free trials whenever possible before you bite the bullet. There are no monthly charges like a Shopify or BigCommerce, so check that out. Instagram, surprisingly, Instagram has, they have shopping tools, which we know, but apparently there is a big community of artists on Instagram, which I had no idea. And the same goes for Twitter. And these are some art pros that, gave me these two pieces of advice. Instagram and Twitter, there's a big, very engaged, very supportive art community. On Twitter, again, see, it's knowing your community. Mm-hmm. And then ArtPal. ArtPal is great for artists starting out. So depending on where this person is in their journey, ArtPal is a great place. There's no membership fees, no commission, super easy to set up. And they offer a print on demand service, which is where they make their money. Lastly, if you're an established artist and your price points are $5,000 and up, then the absolute best one is Saatchi Art. That's SAATCHI Art. It's international. They get almost 2 million visitors a month. Again, the link will be listed below. The only downside to them is that you basically walk away with 65% of your sales price, but they have the visitors and a lot of folks shop there. So, wow, that was a lot of info. Again, hopefully it applies to more than just this person. That
was solid. I'm gonna pick your brain on something. I'm gonna ask you to give a couple, 2, 3.
It's a dark place in there. Are you sure you want to go in there? You better get your flashlight.
But this is one of the, I think this is one, I want to give a big shout out to Alex Waters for doing this, because he showed up to do that for my class and customer discovery. And I loved his presentation and the way he presented it.
Yeah.
What would be probably 2 or 3 tips you can give to a startup entrepreneur? Because this is a very niche type. Fine art is not like everybody's not fine, especially if you're spending $10,000-$20,000 on art or wherever that bar starts. But what are like a couple 2 to 3, hey, lead with this and you should be on your way.
You mean as far as customer discovery?
Yeah, yes, customer discovery.
Well, first, I agree. Alex is phenomenal. And back when we were teaching classes in person, it was great because Alex is local here in San Diego. And I know I've sat in on one of his classes, and now he does it for us virtually. Well, Chris, I'm going to turn the tables and ask you, what was one of the things that he told you? Do you remember? No.
That is a good thing. So I would say one of the realest things he said, and that's with any product, especially something like this, is that you have to, when you're searching for that customer, you have to go to people that are going to give you honest feedback. And he said, don't go to your spouse, don't go to your family and friends, right? Yeah. Because we know the mentality of that. They want to make sure that we win. So we might not get the feedback that we're looking for. And then we might take it a little bit of personal. So that's one thing I know for sure that he put out in his class.
Yeah.
And definitely the other thing was, if you're starting out, go through that process of actually meeting with people and asking those questions and getting that market data to see is like, is there anybody out there who really wants this? And that's what his point of view is. Like, you got to go look for the person that wants this versus saying, hey, I got this, who wants it? I got 30 of them. Like, who wants it? It should be the other way. Like, oh, you need, okay, cool. Here's one for you. And that lets us know. But those are the two things I would say is go to people and get good feedback on the customer you're trying to connect with, and take the time to do the market data, because I know I've jumped that step a couple of times myself, figuring out, does somebody need this, and before I introduce it.
And a lot of this data is available online. So let's say I have an office supply company, and I've developed a line of office supplies, let's just say. And you can find out how big is the market, right? What is the total office supply spend all across the board? That information you can find online through multiple services, and none of them you got to pay for. Okay, so don't get sucked into that. And then you want to narrow that down, because you're not trying to, what part of that market is yours, right? What part of that market are you trying to get into? So let's say it's, custom desktop items, like custom matching pencil holders. And, I don't know, I'm not very good on making this up in my head, but you know what I'm saying? So custom items that, and the price point, go and find what that market total is, right? So if that's, let's say $5 billion a year in the high end, then, narrow it down further and find other businesses that are in your space. So if that's your space, or photographer, fine artist, or videographer, then find other businesses that are in your space. I do this. I did this before I started Rosie's List. I went on Craigslist and Angie's List, which is how I came up with the name Rosie's List. And, because Rosie representing, right? I was ready to launch thinking I knew everything. I had checked out Rosie's. I did a market analysis on even Etsy. I checked, all this. And I had a really wise mentor say to me, Stephanie, but, how do you know? Because I had two customers. One were the businesses selling their products or services on Rosie's List. And then the other was the American consumer. So I had to do the research on what consumers are going to be drawn to buying from veterans and spouses, right? And then what do those veterans and spouses want if I say, hey, I'm going to give you a free profile page on this free database that consumers can search for free. What do you want? What do you need in that? And I didn't want to wait. I didn't, because I'm an entrepreneur. I was like ready to go out the front door at 500 miles an hour. And my mentor said, no, do focus groups, do interviews. Right. And that's what Service to CEO in that class makes you do. And so I said, okay, I'll do focus groups and interviews. And I'm glad I did, because the end product would have been it turned out very different than what I envisioned in the beginning, because I listened to the people we were building it for. And they said, I want this, and I want the testimonials, and I want a photo gallery. And that's what we built. So you're absolutely right. Talk to the people that you deem are your customers, and avoid those that don't want to hurt your feelings.
Go to someone that's telling people to go out.
Avoid those people. Hold a focus group, and you can entice them. You can say, if you're willing to give me 30 minutes of your time and answer these questions, I'll give you 20% off my, my widget. I mean, there's ways to bring them in. Okay. Anyway, so hopefully we got some valuable info there.
That's a big issue, customer discovery.
Yes, it is. That's a big... step number one. If you don't have a customer, what do you got?
You need that's the only way. You got to move product to make money, right?
That's right.
You got to move. So here we go. This one is about. This question is coming from more of the admin realm of an entrepreneur in your business, and this question is directed and speaks about getting certified as a veteran and woman-owned business. Is there an ongoing renewal process for that, for the certification?
Yeah, great question. So really quickly, so if you're a veteran, service disabled veteran, minority owned, or operating a business in a hub zone, yeah, you can get certified. And the advantage of getting certified is if you are looking to do B2B and B2G. B2B is business to business, and then B2G is business to government. Government can be your local, state, because they have a lot of contract spend and set aside that is, targeted just for, veteran, service disabled veteran, and minority or disadvantaged owned businesses, right? There is set aside for that. And they are almost always struggling to find enough businesses to purchase from. So it is a market. B2C is a much bigger market than B2G. Selling to other businesses is a bigger market than selling to the government, but there are a lot of opportunities in the government. So where do you get certified? WeBank, and again, all the links will be posted below. WeBank is for women-owned. I think there's over 9 million women-owned businesses certified in the U.S. It's one of the fastest growing segments of startups in the U.S. Then you have now for veteran or service disabled veteran owned, it has if you want to do business with the Veterans Administration, or the government, then, typically for many years it's been done by the Veterans Administration. It's called the CVE, Certified Veteran Enterprise. While it's free, it can be very arduous and time consuming. Anyone who's gone through the process knows exactly what I'm talking about. It is the VA is no longer going to be certifying veteran, service disabled, veteran owned businesses. It's being moved over to the SBA. It hasn't happened yet. So, but again, the primary reason for getting certified by the VA, getting that CVE, is if you are looking to do business with the Veterans Administration. Okay. If you're not, and you're looking to do business with companies, right? There are a lot of them out there that also set aside and have whole departments and individuals looking for members of these areas, right? Veteran, woman-owned, minority-owned, hub zone, etc. They've put a lot of time and effort and money into trying to do business with these categories. So there are third-party certifiers out there. One is called the National Minority Supplier Diversity Council. The link will be posted below. Then you have the NVDBC, the National Veteran Development Business Council, that was set up by my good friend Keith King. They are the exclusive certifying agency for the $1 Billion Roundtable. So any company that belongs to the $1 Billion Roundtable, and you can Google it, and those are companies that spend $1 billion in supplier diversity. So we're talking folks like Johnson & Johnson, Disney, et cetera, Walmart. They can only track and report their veteran spend with companies that are certified by NVDBC, which is the National Veteran Development Business Council. I think their fees range depending on your revenue, and you do have to renew it. I think it's every 2 years. So each of these you have to renew on a periodic periodic basis. And then there's NAVOBA, the National Veteran-Owned Business Association. Lots of acronyms here because for some reason the military loves their acronyms. The link will be listed below. And again, those are connecting corporate America to veteran-owned businesses. And let us not forget the most exciting certification to come on the scene in many, many, many years is the Military Spouse-Owned Enterprise certification offered by the one and only U.S. Military Spouse Chamber of Commerce. It is free, folks, free. And the companies that we have on board right now that are accepting the certification are Johnson & Johnson, CVS Health, USAA, Disney, and we have quite a few others in the works that I can't announce yet.
Amazing. That's amazing. So
it's worth it to get certified. It really is. And you can write the cost off on your taxes. The MilSpouse certification is free. Right now, our corporate sponsors pay for the cost of us going through all of it. So you can, all those links will be listed below. Hey, 35 states as well as DC thus far have passed legislation to designate set aside for this spend. So
wow, that's major.
Find out what, visit them, find out if you qualify. And again, it's worth getting certified. It really is. We're big in this community about, we call it stolen valor. It's super easy to say you served, super easy to say you're a veteran-owned business. One way to make sure that, we're doing this with integrity and we're actually patronizing veteran and spouse-owned businesses is if businesses take the time to get certified. Right,
yeah.
Chris?
Oh, no, you're looking at one who took 2 months to get that VA cert, because when I started my journey after retiring out of the military, one of my mentors gave me that information. It was like, hey, and I started in the government contracting space because I was an independent contractor, so I did a lot, and that was my vision of like, I'm gonna win a big contract one day. So that was like one of the things you got to do. You got to get certified, you got to do all your stuff and get into the system. But literally, it took about 2 months. And I would advise you, if you're going for certification, and a buddy of mine said it too, if you're going for any of these government aid, get your paperwork in order. Because I think that is the hardest part. Yep. Luckily, I did have my stuff together, but that's what's going to make the process a grind, because you don't have your taxes in order. You don't have all your, operating agreements. You don't have all your banking, certificates in order, because those are the things the VA and the government and these type of certifications are going to ask for, right? They want to see where does the money reside? Where the money reside? Yeah. Let's see it.
Exactly. and control. It is all about ownership and control.
Yep.
So you can't just say, hey, this company is 51% owned by a veteran. They want to know that it's controlled by a veteran too.
DD
because
14,
the VA,
all that.
Yeah. Got into a lot of trouble where there was some bad press. When companies were just bringing on a veteran and going, oh yeah, it's veteran owned, when no, it's not veteran owned and operated. You got to be the one making the decisions. So
all day.
And somebody else asked, how do you go about it if it's just you? Well, the same way, same process, same way. Yeah. In fact, my advice is, if you have a business and you're serious, get certified early. because the longer you wait, the more complicated all the paperwork and reporting is. Do it early.
Hi, Chris and Steph. We actually have a comment in the chat box. Before we go away from this topic, someone had wanted to know how to get the military spouse certification at the chamber.
Good question. Good
question. So we know, and thank you. Thank you, anonymous moderator.
Who's that?
For that. We will put the link, or the link should be below to it's milspousechamber.org. And we actually have two levels of certification. One is if you are basically, not a sole proprietor, but if it's just you and maybe a partner, and if your partner is another military spouse or your spouse, then you still qualify. So right now, to get certified as a veteran-owned, you have to be 51% or more veteran-owned and operated. We saw a problem with that because oftentimes husbands, wives, or legal partners will join up and start a business together 50-50. And at that, they don't qualify as veteran-owned, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. Maybe that'll change, but the MilSpouse Chamber, we accept that. So if it's 50-50 between two spouses or like your spouse, then you qualify. So just go on the website. If you own and operate the business, or if you have investors, right? If you have investors or stockholders, that's another level of certification. So we offer two. And by the way, we also certify nonprofits. Nobody else certifies nonprofits.
Wow.
Because technically, legally, nonprofits are not owned by anyone. But we certify them as military spouse led. So that's how you do it.
Yeah. No, that's solid. Hey, before we move on to the next question, we want to give a big shout out, and they're identified as a top fan. Dawn Marie, she's the one I noticed sent that, and you have Donnell Johns and James Phelps on the line too. So big shout out to those folks that are listening in and adding questions and keeping this thing going. I'ma save. She just posed another questions about sole proprietorships when it comes to certifications. Real quick, does it even matter? How does that look for the military spouse?
You can be a sole proprietor. You can be a sole proprietor, and that is, that is such a great question. And while I don't think we added that one in today. It comes up all the time, the difference between, sole proprietor, oh my God, what is it? The sole proprietor and an independent contractor. There you go. So there is a difference. And it basically has to do with taxes and liability. Taxes and liability, but a sole proprietor and taxes, when I'm talking taxes, I mean, what you pay in taxes and what you can write off in taxes. That is a great topic maybe for the next, Rosie Talks. What can you write off?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. What can you write off as an LLC, as a C-Corp, et cetera? So there is, or an independent contractor, a sole proprietor. An independent contractor doesn't get a W-2. You get a 1099. So that would be me hiring Chris to, do some work for the Rosie Network. He would be an independent contractor. At the end of the year, I'd give him a 1099, telling the IRS what I paid him. He's got to claim it as income. Again, not a CPA or accountant, so don't file a lawsuit against me here. But so there are definitely differences, and it's a big topic. And I think our next question is one of our questions that we are going to cover, and we got to speed it up here because I didn't want this to go too long. We're adult ADHD.
We're doing good. There, come on back. I got you.
Come on back. We are gonna cover.
It's just so much. I mean, this is great that we have people here.
I love it.
I love we gotta show appreciation for the interaction. But on to the next question.
Hello, Donnell. Hi, Dawn. And everybody else.
On to the next question.
Yeah.
when is it a good time to start hiring staff?
Okay, so remember what I just said about independent contractors?
Hot seat. We'll go 2 to 3 minutes on that. Let's go.
Okay. So really quick, there's the basic guidelines to determine when you're ready to hire staff. And that is when for one thing is when you're turning down work, right? When you're turning down work, when you have identified new potential revenue streams that you just can't do on your own, your customers are complaining about you, right? You're not getting back to them, you're not performing, you know, the quality of your product or services is kind of lagging, suffering, and things like that. So most of us who are entrepreneurs don't have time to do a lot of the daily stuff like, you know, financials, bookkeeping, paperwork, stuff like that. I know I don't. I would gouge my eyeballs out if I had to do that every day. So we hire independent contractors to do that for us. For example, we're not big enough to hire an employee to do it. Now, every state is different. This is critically important. And I tell you, it depends on what state you're in is part of the answer.
Say that again. Say that again.
It depends on the state that you're in. California, cool. We're in California is not, look, California dropped some serious laws about independent contractors, employees. Great if you're starting out, things that you can't do for yourself, contract them out. Don't start looking to hire employees because that's expensive. Employees require workers' comp, time off, paid vacation, et cetera, et cetera. Whatever you would pay, here's a good guideline, whatever you would pay an independent contractor to do work for you, let's say bookkeeping. If you're going to hire that person as an employee, tack on at least 30% on top of whatever you would pay an independent contractor, because that's what's going to cost you in employment taxes, in workers' comp, and time off, 30% or more. So look at what you can do with independent contractors instead, right? That bookkeeper, that marketing expert can be an independent contractor instead, as long as you don't violate your state's rules. In California, you know, you have to meet this 3-pronged test to determine whether a hire is an employee or an independent contractor. And it's very strict here, and they will come after you. I know at least one, you know, I mean, you can lose your business, you can get sued, and you can be done if you break the law in certain states. And California is no joke. Other states tend to be a little more lenient because sometimes people don't want to be employees. They'd rather be an independent contractor. They'd rather be able to say, nah, I don't want to take that job. Nah, I can't work that month. If you're an employee, you don't have that flexibility, right? So I find it really kind of frustrating when a state sets in these super hard, strict rules and regulations that aren't always necessarily small business friendly. And California, you know, so make sure you check the law, you know, what your law requires, but, you know, you'll know when it's time. I mean, if you know, keep in mind some of those things. If your customers are complaining, if you're turning down work or opportunities and you don't have the time to go after them, you know, what kind of cash reserves should you have in place? That's a great question. Typically 6 months is usually a good rule of thumb. Right. But again, you know, it is, you know, revenue is not always predictable. Mm-hmm. Your expenses are can be predictable. Yeah. You hire someone and you're paying them $26,000 or, you know, $75,000 a year. Those expenses are predictable. Your revenue is not. Yeah. So that's why I say, if you can hire independent contractors, it's usually a safer bet, safer way to go. And they haven't made volunteering illegal yet, so.
No, that's a good one. No, you.
I'm sure they're working on a way to tax volunteers.
That's good advice.
So check your state law, but that is such a great question, and a lot of people struggle with it. No, look into hiring independent contractors.
That's a good advice, because I'm not a good bookkeeping and tax guy. That's all.
No, and your business. Hey, Chris, here's, and for all of our listeners, here's a basic rule of thumb, legally at least. So Chris is the videographer, the photographer pro. He's an expert. I am not. If I'm holding an event and that's a service that I need, I'm not going to hire an employee. It's not what the Rosie Network does, right? So, but if I'm a video photography company and I hire Chris as an independent contractor versus an employee, I could get in trouble. My state will look at it and go, no, Stephanie, you're a video company and you're hiring Chris to do all this work as an independent contractor. He's actually an employee because his services are directly related to your core business. Okay. So you got to watch that. That's that's one of the ways California and many states look at it.
And you end up with the metal bracelets, the ones that connect.
Yeah, and wearing stripes. I don't want to wear yellow and I don't want to wear stripes. Polka dots are look much better on me.
So let's take it home. We have our last question of the evening. This has been so much fun. Love the questions, love the energy, love the engagement. Lay it on us. For profit or nonprofit? You know, what
I saved this one for the last.
What should I be?
I saved this for last because this was my favorite question. Obviously, the Rosie Network is a nonprofit. If I could go back and do it all over again, I probably wouldn't have done it as a nonprofit. I didn't know anything about running a nonprofit. Nada, zilch. I filed all the paperwork with the state of California, all that stuff. I filed it myself. So if you're starting a business and you want to, you got to file with your state, you got to register. If you're smart and assuming that you have at least a certain level of intelligence to want to be a business owner, you can file all that paperwork yourself. Don't get sucked into that. Only $2.99, file an LLC. You can do it yourself if you're starting out. If your idea is much more complicated and you've got stakeholders and investors, don't do it yourself. Get an attorney. Don't be a dummy. So I look at it as, there's a significant percentage of folks that come to us at the Rosie Network that want to be a nonprofit. I kind of deem it's my responsibility to be honest with them. It is hard. It is hard. Here's a reality check. Less than 0.2%. So think of the big pie, think 1% of that big pie. Now take that 1% and cut it down to 0.2. Less than 0.2% of all philanthropic giving. All philanthropic giving across all categories goes to support veteran service organizations, which if you're a veteran or a military spouse and you're serving this community, you are considered a VSO, a veteran service organization. Less than 0.2%. All right, now once you've swallowed that pill, which is a horse pill, it doesn't taste good, hard to swallow, I want you to do this for me. If you're thinking about starting a nonprofit, and that's because your heart is in it and you want to do something and give back, amen, good on you. Go find an organization that does something similar and volunteer. Volunteer your time and services, okay? Determine whether or not, two things. One, maybe this idea that you have can operate under an existing nonprofit, and you can do that legally and collect donations and sponsorships by signing what is called a fiscal sponsorship agreement, an FSA. You can download a template. So in other words, let's say you have an incredible idea and program to help veterans transition out of service. Instead of starting your own nonprofit to provide that, find one that currently does, right? And there are a bunch of them. There are a bunch of big ones. There are ones local in your neighborhood. Find them and go, hey, I've developed this program, this series of tests or training or coaching to serve this community. Can I work with you? Here's what I'm doing. blah, blah, blah. I want to volunteer with you. And then if you're interested in my, this program, you can get them to sign an NDA, non-disclosure, non-compete. Determine at the end of that, if they go, wow, we loved it. This is great. We're getting great feedback from it. Then you can still run that program under a fiscal sponsorship agreement under an existing 501c3, C6. You got to educate yourself, know what the differences are. And then you can legally accept donations. The bigger nonprofit will probably, and no doubt, take a percentage, right? Because they do the bookkeeping, which is also kind of an advantage. So there are multiple ways to skin that cat rather than entering into what is already an extremely competitive, tiny, tiny slice of the money pie. There's also another alternative. If you still want to do social good, but make a profit, there's such a thing called a B Corp. Not every state recognizes B Corps. Look it up. B Corp is a benefit corporation. It's actually a for-profit that must have a goal to benefit a community or the environment. Have you ever heard of a B Corp, Chris?
No. Everybody is always C-Corp. No,
it's new. It's recognized by the IRS. Not all states, but a lot of states, more than half, now recognize what B Corps. And B Corp is basically most corporations, especially if you are public corp and you've got investors and you've got stockholders, they all want one thing and one thing only. The focus is always on profit. Did you grow from last quarter? We don't care if you're doing good. We want to know our stock is increasing in value. We want to know you're making revenue. A B Corp still has the focus to make revenue, but you can basically say, hey, our charter, our responsibility is not just about revenue, but it's about doing good for a community or the environment. So we can turn things down and you can say to your stockholders or your investors, hey, we're a B Corp. We're not going to take that job because it is against our charter. If our focus is on the environment, that job, it'll pay a lot of money, but it also pollutes the environment and is against our charter. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
There's a lot of things into it. There's different reporting, et cetera, but look into a B Corp. Again, if you're looking into doing a nonprofit, reach out to another nonprofit that exists that you respect and talk to them. Consider operating as a fiscal sponsorship agreement. If you decide after a year or so of doing that you've got enough and you can be your own, then go out and file for a 501c3 or 501c6 or any other C whatever. Know what the laws are. If you're starting early enough, you can actually file that paperwork. The IRS now has a abbreviated format to file for a 501c3 that's available. It wasn't available back in my day. But again, it's a tough road to hoe, and a for-profit is, let's put it this way. If you run a nonprofit, you can't pay, and you founded it like I did for the Rosie Network. I can't pay myself $500,000 a year. I can't. The IRS would come after us, So, there are ups and downs. There really are ups and downs.
Yeah.
To both. And so my advice is, if you can do it as a for-profit, go do it as a for-profit or a B Corp. Okay. Nonprofit. You can do good things as a for-profit. You can also start a for-profit and then set up a foundation under your for-profit. So, I'm not trying to skew people away from starting a nonprofit. But just know you're limited. It is a lot more limiting. The IRS doesn't hand them out, like candy on Halloween night. It is hard to get and hard to maintain. And your info becomes essentially public knowledge. And you can't pay yourself more than industry standard based on the size of your organization. You're not starting a nonprofit to get rich. And if you're going to start a nonprofit, I'm going to leave you with this. Don't think you can do it successfully on unpaid volunteers. You can't hold unpaid volunteers accountable. Okay? And I'm really tired of hearing, well, we're a nonprofit and we don't pay our people. That's nothing to brag about. That's not sustainable. I have smart, talented people and they all get paid. And I wish I could pay them more. And when we bring money in, and the more money we bring in, our money goes into investing in to the people that we serve by hiring the best folks out there to serve them. And you should be doing the same thing.
That's solid. I love it. You know, one thing that resonates with me, what you said, I've never heard anyone say that about nonprofits, because I've worked with folks that are doing nonprofit in sports. One of my sports is wrestling, and you know, I was trying to help them start up. But what you said about looking towards someone who's doing what you want to do and work out some type of working agreement versus reinventing a wheel over here when you can be a spare tire or a different type of wheel on this vehicle.
Sponsorship agreement. Fiscal sponsorship agreement. It is recognized by the IRS. It is a legal document and a partnership. It really, and I started the Rosie Network under a fiscal sponsorship agreement with under another 501c3.
Yep. No,
it's a way to do it.
That's the way to do it, because like you said, you know, when you start, you don't know, but what a good way to get some mentorship, you know, and a little coaching, you know, because I know there's going to be a little give and take, but it'd be a great way to start to guarantee, I won't say guarantee your success, but heighten your chances of winning in the end when you make the transition to jump out there by yourself.
Yeah. And do your research. You know, this community, I mean, I grew up in it. I married in it. I've raised kids in it. People have heard me say, but this community is we are unlike any other community out there. We want to see each other succeed. We want to help each other out. Right? I mean, it really is a unique, incredible community. And, you know, but find folks to, you know, if you want to do a nonprofit, we want to give because of that big heart and that sense of service and helping. You know, we sometimes feel guilty about making money from helping others. Don't. It's a lesson Stephanie had to learn. Don't feel guilty. People who make money have the ability to help, you know, on sometimes a much bigger scale than people who don't have money. So, you know, don't fall into the trap of going, I really want to help. I have a big heart. I want to give. I'm going to start a nonprofit. It doesn't have to be that way. Okay. And if you're determined to do a nonprofit, consider other options. Consider doing it in safe ways like a fiscal sponsorship agreement, things like that.
Oh, that's awesome.
Well, we are hitting 1 hour. I said 45 minutes and we hit 1 hour. So that's not bad.
I didn't want to stop you. The engagement is good. The conversation, that's how it is when you're having a great conversation. And this was so easy. We got to do this again. This was so
we're doing it again. We're doing it again, Chris. Come on now. We signed up for this.
So I'm the guy. I'm the guy now.
You're the guy. You're my guy.
I'm the guy now. No, this is fun. I had a great time doing this. I love doing these co-hosting and, you know.
Yeah, we want to hear from
Plus
you.
We know each other. We're not gonna.
We don't know everything. We don't know everything, but
we don't know everything.
We don't know everything. All I can tell you is the bumps and bruises, the wins that I've had have rarely been because of Stephanie. The wins that we've had has been because of my team, my mentors, people like you, Chris, who, you know, who stand out, who I trust, who have integrity. You know, it build those teams, surround yourself with those people. And that's really what I hope that we're doing, not just with the Rosie Network and the Military Spouse Chamber, but with, you know, Rosie Talks, everything that we put together. is all about building and empowering this incredible community in this network. So yeah, we're doing it again. And I think, you know, follow Triple Nickel, follow Chris, Green Beret Media, follow the Rosie Network, follow the Military Spouse Chamber of Commerce on social media. You will see dates and times when we're posting the next Rosie Talks. We want your questions. We want your challenges, your opportunities. You'll get honest, not rose-colored glasses. We're going to tell you if that dress makes you look bad.
You know, I like one of her.
That's what you're going to get from us.
Of mine. She said they gave our business the analogy of the ugly baby. Everybody's got an ugly baby when you first start out.
Hey, Rosie was an ugly baby, but it
was
my baby. It was my baby. I love my baby. But I listened to smarter people. And again, we wouldn't be here. It's not because Stephanie is some genius. I'm not. It's because Stephanie had determination and I was smart enough to ask for help. That is it. Yeah.
No, that's it. Before we go, first of all, I want to give a big shout out to all my other Rosie sisters out there. I know we're in the trenches. From all the chapter leads out there.
Yep.
Love you guys and keep doing what you're doing. I miss you because we've been off the air. We taking a time out, a meeting during the week. I kind of miss you girls.
I know. Our leads are really the spokes that keep the engine going. That was a bad analogy, but you know what I'm saying.
No. And you mentioned a couple of definitely Donnell with Veteran Grows America, one of our cool people that's been doing some things. And
we're doing showcase events. I call them showcase events because I'm old school. Veteran business expos. I know.
Yes.
With AFIs, around the country, and this is an incredible opportunity. I'm telling you, if you got a product or even a service to sell, AFIs isn't taking a percentage. I'll be in Charleston Air Force Base, Joint Base Charleston in Charleston, South Carolina. I'm going to my birth state. I was born in South Carolina at the end of this month. So if you're interested in featuring your business, please reach out to us. Let us know. The deadline is fast approaching. And we've had some folks, walk away with some serious bank at these showcase events.
I mean, even at Fort Belvoir Expo was amazing. One of our Rosie students were there and she sold out. And I would say I like this. Like, if you're wanting to test your product and what you have and put it in front of people, this is a good way to do it. Right? Go there, sign up, take some items out there, and this is part of your market research, because this is like a live training lab for your business to see if somebody will buy it, because they don't know when they roll up how long you've been in business. They just know you have a product and it's for sale, and if they want it, they're gonna buy it.
Yeah, so I agree. We've had some incredible innovative products, and some of the best food that, I brought home like from the last one I was at, I brought home like 5 boxes of cookies that were
those ginger cookies, right?
Yes, I ate 2 of those boxes in the airplane on the flight home.
I still have a box in the freezer though.
They are so good. So check it out, veteransgrowamerica.com. You can also find it on our social media. We post all the stuff that we're doing there. I hope you're following. And I think our next one, or one coming up, our next Rosie Talks, we're going to be talking about restaurants and food service. What COVID did. That's going to be part of the focus. How COVID impacted these businesses, what some of them did to pivot and be successful, things like that. So I hope you'll tune in. We've got actually some amazing speakers coming in for the next one that are going to share some studies, some resources, some moolah, and you know, all about that because we have a lot of businesses in the food service and restaurant, supply, etc. businesses out there. A lot of home-based businesses and how to knock it out of the park. So
that's it.
That's it.
I think we reached our goal.
Yes, we did.
Mission complete. Task complete. We did it. So take us out of here. It's on you.
Thank you. Thanks for joining us, everyone. We are here to serve you.